Okay, good afternoon. This is Senate Institutions on Wednesday, February 5th. And we are here today. First, we're going to have a discussion with Department of Corrections, and then we're going to have Department of Fish and Wildlife. Let us introduce ourselves. I am Wendy Harrison, Senator from Windham, Chair of this committee.
Senator Russ Ingles, Essex District.
Senator Joe Major, Windsor.
Rob Plunkett, Pennington District. Sam Notice, Oral Leeds County.
And so our first witness is Al Cormier, and Al, as you see, we have 3 new members. It's a great committee. We're getting stuff done. Our jurisdiction has been expanded. We're doing more corrections operations, and we're also doing IT.
Excellent.
So yeah. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe we can get you some Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that would be amazing. We would love some Wi-Fi. We're all about the Wi-Fi. Al Cormier, Chief of Operations with the Vermont Department of Corrections, will be talking high-level overview of our infrastructure, current infrastructure, and some of the challenges we're currently facing. I think folks are well aware of our pursuit of a new women's facility for sure, but we have a lot going on in partnership with BGS around for maintenance, ongoing maintenance, and certainly talk about that. So we'll start off with our system as a whole. We're a unified system, very different than many other states in the nation around corrections. We have no county facilities where most correctional agencies host only sentenced individuals. We host both sentenced and detained. We're in the process of standing up a pretrial supervision unit, which is in a pilot phase currently. That's operating in Essex and Orleans counties right now. We'll be expanding to Caledonia County in the coming months. But again, a very unique situation for the Department of Corrections to be in. Usually those are maintained by a county agency within the core system. So for us, it's presenting, it's challenging because it's different than anything we've done historically. But so with the pretrial, we have our detained population, our sentence population, and then the probation and parole population that we also supervise in the community.
Can I interrupt you just?
Yes.
Do you mind?
No, go ahead.
Questions. So can you explain more about pretrial, because that's something that was approved last year,
Yes.
and so it is a pilot, as you said. So can you just explain a little bit more about what it means?
Yeah. So the goal of pretrial supervision is to assist with getting people to core in a timely fashion. We see a lot of what we would call the catch and release model, right? And then people going to core, being cited, released from core, pick up a new charge, go to core, release. Our intent, and I think the legislative intent through House Corrections was to try to help these individuals get to core, get the services they need prior to core, assist them in finding treatment options, programming options prior to sentencing. So the goal is to really help those folks that are in the community between being sentenced or released from the court, to provide those services to those individuals and help them better succeed through the criminal justice process.
And hopefully not enter into the corrections system, is my understanding.
And what we're seeing now, in addition to those that may be eligible in the community, we also have people that are held on bail that are part of our detained population. Those numbers are around 500 detainees in our system total, which is the highest it's been for as long as I can remember. So we're also seeing some referrals come from the Orleans court regarding the potential for releasing people from incarceration by eliminating their bail and getting them out on pretrial supervision. So very early. I mean, we're not even a month into the pilot program being stood up, but in the governor's budget address, we heard about a potential for a statewide expansion. So we're already looking at that and how that would roll out and how we would implement that.
Were you able to find staff to handle that program?
Yes. So we were allocated 5 positions and just under $600,000, $550,000. So while we've got some funding, it wasn't enough to fund all 5 positions. but we've hired a pretrial supervision officer in the Newport office, and we're currently recruiting for a pretrial supervision officer in the St. Johnsbury probation control office.
Thank you. Any questions from other folks?
So you'll see in our facilities, we have 5 male facilities, 1 women's facility in Chittenden, and we have an out-of-state facility where we're currently holding about 115 individuals through a private contract with Core Civic due to the lack of bed space in our own facilities. You also see that we have 12 district offices for our probation and parole offices, and then our training academy, which is located in Lindenville, Vermont. Any questions before we move on? So our facilities, we have the Chittenden Regional, which is currently our women's facility. That was built in the early 70s as a male detention facility. It, at one point, housed both men and women. In the mid 90s, it was converted to the women's facility in, I think it was 2006, 2007. It became the women's facility. And
I almost think you show that picture so we could do something about it just quickly.
yeah, yeah. That is the exit to the rec. You know, it was built to house up to 177 individuals. We have nearly $4 million in maintenance upkeep and almost $12 million in deferred maintenance costs currently.
Yes.
Al, are we gonna be able to hold that deferred maintenance off while we're building another place as best we can, or we don't have to do some of that?
We're gonna have to do some of that. A lot of it is in the roof. The roofing has needed to be replaced. There's been patch jobs along the way. The water and sewer has been an issue for us in Chittenden. You know, you'll see the living conditions here. The pictures actually do it justice, where it doesn't look too bad, but getting into that building, you'll see that it is very antiquated and outdated. But yeah, that deferred maintenance are things that, you know, we're doing our best to limit what we have to put in there, but we also know that we're going to have to house that population there for the foreseeable future, and maintenance will be required. Marble Valley, which is located in Rutland, that was the build late 70s. I think it opened in 81. St. Johnsbury and Rutland are the same exact footprint, same identical facility. You know, it's in the downtown district in Rutland. Large historical wall, which was slated for destruction a few years ago, and then was saved by the historical aspects of that wall, and so that still stands. Our Rutland facility houses both sentence individuals and primary detainees for Bennington, Rutland, and Addison counties. I'm sure this committee is probably aware of the challenges with housing juveniles in our state. Given that there are currently no juvenile facilities, we do house and have the capability to house juveniles if needed in a small wing of that facility. We have the capacity for about 140 individuals currently in that building.
Anybody have a question? I have a question. Why does that facility have more detainees as a component of the population?
You'll see in the name regional. We had built a system on central facilities and regional facilities. And in the 80s and 90s, Chittenden was a regional facility. St. Johnsbury was a regional facility, and Marble Valley was a regional facility. Those facilities were designed to house short-term incarcerated individuals as either detainees or sentenced to less than a year. Given the current makeup of our population and the expansion of our population, we now house both sentenced, and we have historically housed sentenced and detained individuals, but given the location of the courts, the primary detainee population is for those 3 counties.
Okay.
The Northeast Correctional Complex in St. Johnsbury, again, the same floor plan as Marble Valley, roughly 140 beds. Again, we have sentenced individuals in that facility, but also detainee population for primarily Caledonia, Orange, Washington, Lamoille. Essex County also falls in there. And then the work camp is 110 bed, basically dormitory style, open bunk design, 52 and 56 beds in the 2 units, north and south units. In the mid 90s, and that was open in 94. The work camp was open in 94. Historically would house non-violent, low-risk offenders, and with changes in legislation and sentencing structures, that population just doesn't exist. Our population is mostly violent offenders that are not suitable for community reentry on a work crew program. So over the years, we've seen that the eligible population declined for the work camp population. So I think currently we have about 20-25 individuals that are work camp eligible statewide that are housed in the work camp. They still do some work. They maintain the Greenmont Cemetery here in Montpelier. That's one of their big ones. But historically, they've done the trash pickup in the spring with AOT, partnering with them, and other work with nonprofit organizations, churches, and rehabilitating different buildings and painting and construction and so forth. But so that's the St. Johnsbury facility. Northern State, this was also completed in 1994, right along the same time that the work camp was completed. This is our largest facility. Also, the majority of that population is a sentenced population. We do offer our risk reduction program in Newport, but we also have detainees from primarily Orleans and Essex counties. We do have an infirmary space there. It's only about 3 beds, so it's very, very small. As I said, we have our risk reduction programming, violent offender programming. Historically, we had offered our professional industries program that worked out of that facility, which was our wood shop. For years, we built some amazing wood furniture. Probably a lot of that is scattered throughout the State House, and then many state office buildings, you'll see VCI furniture, very durable and rugged furniture. But as we see many state agencies going to the cube design, there was no need for office furniture. We were in a position where we couldn't compete with businesses. That was part of the statutory language, is we're not going to try to put the local furniture builder out of business. Will only sell to nonprofit agencies. But we ended up with a significant deficit in that program over the years, and we made the decision last year to shut down the correctional industries and the wood shop program. We also had a print shop that was also shut down. That all that work has been moved to BGS print.
Yes.
When you say deficit, can you explain what?
So the cost of materials certainly growing, and then the what we could charge to for the work that we did. We tried to keep it within balance of not having to, like I said, put somebody out of business, but maintain it that those local nonprofits could afford it reasonably. We were making furniture and not being able to sell it at a profit that was sustainable. The intent of that correctional industries was that it would pay for itself. But it got to a point where it could not pay for itself because of the increase in cost of machinery and so forth.
The $3 to $4 million.
It was a $3 million deficit that we ended up with.
You could raise it. I mean, I don't think you can make up $3 million.
We tried. We tried. It was not doable.
Also, by the Chair, I'm the policy director. Just to add to the chief's point, part of the work also, building highway signs, printing all the stationery for state government, these large ornate pieces of wooden furniture. Some of that work, particularly the highway signs, was not really giving folks marketable skills for the economy. It's difficult to go out into the workforce and find a job making highway signs. And so that's why we've been retooling our vocational training and really trying to think about what are the gaps in Vermont's existing workforce, what are those marketable skills like welding, for example, or teaching folks more kind of accredited, certified production assistant, technician, those certs, how do we align our vocational training that really meets the needs of the workforce and gives folks those marketable skills. So that's very much in development. I think we might talk about that at a later point.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that. I hear from towns who actually are disappointed that they don't have access to that furniture anymore. So it wasn't just the nonprofits, but the municipalities.
Yes.
Yeah, we also did receive criticism that, we were exploiting the labor of incarcerated folks. So it it kind of depends on your lens, right? But we do really want to focus on vocational training.
Right. So is that happening? I mean,
Yes.
I have a concern that there isn't a lot. When I go to the places, there's
It's,
nothing.
yeah, so I mean, we're in that transition phase now. So when we move from a industries model to a technical training model, it takes some time in shifting the knowledge base of the instructors that we have, hiring new instructors that have that technical training background. So we've purchased some simulators, welding simulators that are allowing the incarcerated individuals to learn a welding skill. We're in the process of purchasing basically a simulator that's the front end of a car so that they can do brake jobs, they can do tire changes and alignments and so forth like that. So these simulators are coming into our facilities where we can teach that skill, and they'll have a marketable job skill when they leave incarceration. So those are the things that we're looking at and moving towards. I know our partnership with CCB, we have a very strong partnership with them. We were just in a meeting earlier this week about these are manufacturing simulators. So it's like a manufacturing line, and these individuals will get certificates in certified production manager. I think they call it certified production technician.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Something.
CPT.
Yeah. So these are things that we're working on. It takes time to build that new model within our existing structures. And as we talk about our infrastructure, we're very limited in the size and scope, right? Our facilities were built as detention facilities. They weren't designed or built as program facilities or offering program. It was basically a warehouse model.
Yeah. Or it was just deleted. I mean, that happened too.
Right. And many of those machines that I was describing that CCV wants to bring online for us, and they have federal funding to do that work. Those machines oftentimes require Wi-Fi. The new vocational training machines, the predicate for that is Wi-Fi. So that's something that we're going to be stressing very much in this committee.
Right. All right, good. So we'll talk about that more. Okay.
So that's Newport Northwest, St. Albans. This also built late 60s, I think 68 or 69. This is the facility that holds the majority of our federal detainees. We have a contract with the U.S. Marshal Service for 80 beds between both. They could potentially be housed in all of our facilities, but primarily the male federal detainees are held in St. Albans, and female federal detainees are held in Chittenden, close to the federal court in Burlington. We hold detainees there for Franklin and Grand Isle, and then primary site for our sex offender treatment program. Our plate shop is also there. So that's the one industry that we've maintained is license plates. We manufacture all the state license plates out of our St. Albans facility.
Are you gonna keep that?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a critical operation of state government.
Southern State in Springfield. This is our newest facility that is now 22 years old. Holds detainees for Windham and Windsor County. We have a large infirmary there, which is where we hold our elderly population, which we're seeing more and more of. We're seeing an increase in the age of our geriatric population. We have a mental health unit that is that stays full most of the time, our geriatric population and our mental health population we house there. We have the most resources in that infirmary because of the size of it to serve that population. We do have an honors unit there that we stood up 2 years ago now. I think we're on our second year with that, which is a unit where we have sentenced individuals that have shown that they can be trusted and have shown good behavior, and they're basically on their own. There's no officer that's supervising that unit. And so far we've had really good luck with that. It's a restorative justice model, self-accountability, but they're doing really well with that.
Goes back to that personal accountability.
Yes. Yeah.
Not wrong me.
Yes. And humanizing the experience, right? And then we had the Prison Research Innovation Network was a study or a project that we engaged with the Urban Institute for a period of 3 years. We did that at the facility and there was participatory research-based involvement, so the population and the staff were engaged together and coming up with ideas on how to humanize the environment for both the staff and the incarcerated. We developed the honors unit. We developed a coffee shop, so the incarcerated individuals have an amazing coffee shop. I think you're scheduled to tour there Friday, right?
Mhm.
Coffee shop's amazing. You'll be really impressed. Like it's like something out of, you think you're on Church Street, really. It's like it's very cool. It's very cool. So that's Southern State. And so infrastructure needs currently, we have air conditioning that we're in the process of working with BGS. I know that's gone out to bid for one of our facilities, the Springfield facility primarily. So Chittenden and Marble Valley are both air conditioned. The rest of our facilities are not air conditioned. Springfield has air conditioning in the infirmary, but not the entire facility. So that HVAC installation is in process. Rolling that out again, starting in Springfield and then to the other facilities. Our women's facility, that's a big ticket item. You know, we're talking at a price tag of currently between $80 and $100 million. I think our capital request for this year is in the $30 million range. As we continue to work on that and the building and design of that facility. ADA compliance upgrades. So we had there was a DOJ audit that was conducted a couple of years back, and after a lawsuit on an ADA compliance issue. So again, we're working with BGS closely and getting those upgrades completed across both Springfield and the Newport facility were the primary ones for that, and the women's facility, some access issues there. Safety and security enhancements. One thing we're working on right now is door controls. So the Newport facility went through a complete door control overhaul 3 years ago. Springfield is just finishing up their door control replacement. So BGS is going in and replacing all the door control units. Most of them have been key operated or electronically operated through a solenoid system. This is now all through cameras and computers and touchscreen opening and secure our doors. It's a pretty high-tech upgrade, and the staff are really enjoying that technology and how well that works.
Yeah, I have a question on that. So is there a backup manual? Because I've been in there when the power went out and it was, the power to that system didn't work.
Yeah, so there's the generator backup for all our facilities, and there's also a key backup. Yeah.
It's definitely something to watch. When we're in Springfield on Friday, we can take you inside what we call the bubble, the control room, and just to watch. I mean, it's a very specialized skill set control. You can imagine, especially at shift change times, people coming and going, but at a larger facility like Southern or Northern, when you have hundreds of people there moving around the facility and it's all controlled centrally, it's quite a specialized skill set.
Yeah, and very stressful.
Very job. Yeah.
I bet they're good at multitasking.
There's a lot of buttons.
Springfield, we have there's actually two individuals that sit in the control room.
Yeah, they're supposed to be.
Because of the size of it. Yeah. St. Johnsbury is scheduled for the door control replacement starting this summer. And then when that's finished, we'll move to Marble Valley and do the door control replacement there.
I apologize. How many are in Springfield? I mean,
We're around 350.
oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, everything that goes in.
What's the capacity?
We're at capacity. We're
Okay.
at that 360 mark. And yeah, Newport is our largest at 433.
That's right, capacity.
That is also good capacity.
Our men's facilities are at 135% capacity, which is why we utilize the out-of-state facility. The women's facility is not. We have 177 beds, I think about 130 or so, 120 women there.
How do you determine who you send away?
That is determined based on sentence structure, programming needs, whether they're on the MAT program or not, medical issues. We have quite a criteria that we go through to determine eligibility for
What's that?
medically assisted treatment. Yeah. So yeah, Wi-Fi we have is something that we're looking for expansion. One for the vocational training is a big piece of that. Also updating our technology for our staff. Our offender management system is something that we're looking to replace in the near future. That will be transferring from a server to a web-based platform. And one of the services that they offer is a tablet platform for the staff to actually do head counts and not have to carry around a paper logbook. So for tracking and accountability of the population, the officers have that tool. I mean, we know how we are. I know you're just talking about an addiction to cell phones and social media, but that's our popular, right? That's our younger staff. I mean, that's what they know.
I want to steal some of the major's thunder.
Please.
Why is the Wi-Fi issue so hard? Not on you guys. I mean, why can't we do that?
I think that is the $1 million question. We're not sure.
Is it
Or is it the 30 minute?
Well,
I mean, what's-
it's not. It's about a $3 million price tag for Wi-Fi for all of our facilities. We've worked with community broadband, Vermont Community Broadband, trying to utilize some of that funding. We've been unsuccessful in that realm. We did get funding through Representative Squirrel 2 years ago. We did a heat map. So we've got the heat mapping all done. We know where the access points need to be located. We know where it needs to run. That work is done. It's just finding the funding to install.
And I'm sensitive to this. Because I know when you're a witness, sometimes you have to be careful how you answer. Anybody give me a hard time about it?
No. Nobody has said it's a bad idea.
Okay.
How much more efficient would your staff be if you had it?
I mean, I think it's
It's not to put you on the spot.
yeah, I think it would be, I think we'd see a lot more efficiency. And we'd see a lot more opportunity for technology to come into our building to make them more efficient. We would be able to eliminate duplicative paperwork, duplicative tracking mechanisms that are done through paper and pencil right now. So I think the efficiency would.
And then I kind of hear, not to put words in your mouth or make assumptions, but I think we've kind of heard that there are some body cameras that couldn't be used because they didn't have they didn't have the Wi-Fi, so that protects everyone.
Correct. We've got several hundred body cameras sitting in boxes right now, ready to be deployed.
Yeah.
Those are Wi-Fi dependent?
They would be more efficient with Wi-Fi.
More efficient, okay.
So we could utilize them now with the structure that we have, the wired Ethernet type, but with Wi-Fi, it would certainly be a much more efficient product.
Well, I bet Madam Chair is all over that.
Yeah, I can see a lot of reasons, but
There's technology out there from a staff efficiency standpoint. There are biometric watches that the population could wear that would monitor their heart rate, vital signs. That could potentially prevent a death or an overdose because we can't keep an eye, right? 100 inmates, to one or two staff, it's almost impossible to keep your eye on all of them.
Is that the ratio?
50 to, in the work camp, it's 50 to 1. We have a unit in Newport that's 75 to 1. So average 30 to 1, but still that's a lot, right?
And when you have staffing shortages. it's-
Yeah, so anything that we can do to enhance the staffing shortage would be a welcome addition.
Would that? I know this is very difficult. Would that help with your retention? Because that's what I hear. It's not
Yeah.
the number of, but it's the retention of staff.
Right, we do a great job recruiting. We have a hard time retaining, and I think a lot of it is due to the lack of technology. I think that today's workforce depends on technology, and when they come to a correctional facility to work where there's very little technology, I think that's something that's it's hard to keep them engaged.
You know, as the chief said, many of our buildings date from the late sixties, early seventies. And so when you walk into those structures, it's like going back 50 years. Was again, paper lot. I mean, you should see some of the log books. The chief can tell you, they are
Yeah, we
huge.
will.
And they're thick. And, you know, everyone's filling them out for every piece of equipment. It's something the commissioner I know has talked about many times in this building. But, you know, if we're able to bring Wi-Fi and some of these critical technological pieces on board, the gains in staff efficiency and hopefully retention, it would be huge.
If you think about what this room probably looked like in 94, it's changed a lot, but when I started in corrections in 94, the process is still the same.
Yeah.
A lot has not changed.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we hear that.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's.
and we've had a few questions.
Yeah.
All right, well, I learned a few things. So you have a capital plan. I don't think in our version of the capital bill, there wasn't funding for the women's prison this year.
Okay, there, yeah.
It was presumed that they would use.
The
what they
10-year
had.
plan.
The 10-year plan.
Yeah.
It is part 30 million there?
We've got about 15 million left of that.
Okay.
That's in reserve that we can get out with BGS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's another 59, I think.
Yeah, 25 over 2
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, that doesn't include the 16, or it was 16 to 18 is what they told us was already in the account. All right, let me just ask a couple questions about St. Albans, because I haven't been to St. Albans. So, that's where we detain the federal folks.
Yes.
Why do we do them there?
Border Patrol has their headquarters in the Swan area. A lot of the border crossings are happening in the Swan area. US Marshals are based out of the Burlington area. So a lot of the prisoner transports that are conducted by the US Marshal Service, it's more convenient to get them back and forth to the federal court in the Burlington area.
Oh, because the federal courts.
Yes, there's a federal court in Rutland as well. Sometimes we'll move some folks down to the Rutland facility to hold them as well, but the majority of our federal detainees are in St. Albans.
Okay. And were the women were in St. Albans at some point?
They were for a very short period of time, not even quite 2 years. Back in the late 90s, I believe.
Yeah.
Early
Sorry
2000s,
about
yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm good.
All right.
Presentation.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. All right, thank you very much. Sure.
We'll see you around.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so now we have our next witness is at 3, so I think we should adjourn unless somebody has what you want to talk about, and then come back at 3.
We'll come back a few minutes early if you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 10 minutes early, maybe.
Can I talk a little bit about what we just discussed?
Yeah, sure.
And I have to obviously acquaint myself with. I know we earmarked 15 million, I think we have right now for the women's prison. Both are very pressing needs, the Wi-Fi and the women's prison. But, and I know it's, a fifth of what that is. But we could almost immediately accomplish a goal that would make the system as a whole more productive. If we took the 3 million from the 3 million and we can, we'll add more in there, but you know, that is just a.
I have another tip that you, that Madam Chair knows we're working together where we can probably find $3 million to make that happen.
Yeah, so just, there's the budget for next year and then there's the funding for this year. So, I hear you. It's important and we should certainly talk about it. I have some more questions about it.
Sure.
But yes,
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I really have to agree with Senator Major because the body cameras alone will save the state money. Talk about putting the 3 million in, that will actually save money. There's right now, Department of Corrections has the largest amount of investigative leave in the state for state employees when they're put like under investigation and you get paid to be at home right now as an officer. And it has the DOC has the largest number of those individuals that are sitting at home while under investigation, while being paid a full salary. So that will save the state money because a lot of those investigations carry on so long because they're just trying to find evidence, they're trying to investigate, or they have a long caseload of investigations. So having those body cameras, that will, I would be very certain to say that would cut down the investigative time. Because they'd be able to have the footage of, you know, an incident that happens with an inmate or.
it could, just for reference, they have the most employees, so it makes sense that they would have the most employees under
I believe,
investigation.
well, I believe it's also percentage wise, not just gross number.
Okay. All right. I mean, we'll
Yeah, that just-
talk once we have the full amount.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I wanted to throw that out there because it's just everyone that we talk to, and I think some what gets missed is you hear Wi-Fi and immediately the layperson thinks Wi-Fi for the inmates. But to make the job more efficient, and if we can, when we talk about saving more money, it is infinitely more cost effective to keep your employees than to go out and get employees. So,
And I think that there's, you know, like Madam Chair said, you know, she's got some things that she wants to look at and all of that. And, you know, and ultimately it's, you know, it's Madam Chair's, she'll look at what she wants to look at and, but is if that's where she wants to move forward, just knowing this process as far as moving money around. I have not a doubt that we could probably move some money around and all that, but again, it's herself when it's all said and done. And she got a lot to look at. And I'm thinking that if at the end of the day, she it's I know this is doing the job and
yeah,
moving all
yeah.
around, we can make things work.
Yeah.
And there's other decisions that have to be made as well.
right. Right, and it gets complicated and it'll be helpful for you to see the facility.
yeah,
too,
yeah.
And see what they're talking about. And the, what the inmates have, is not what it needs to be either. I don't know if you heard about, there's a complaint system or a grievance system. And a couple of years ago, the auditor, went to inspect or audit the grievance system. And the, paper copies were in such disarray that they couldn't even perform an audit. So that's really important too, that system be made workable. And Wi-Fi would likely help with that.
And I
And
just said you know, from the witness rate, I think to Senator Ingles' point, it could be for some or multiple when we look at the budget as a whole.
Yeah,
But I just because that's what we had.
It'd be,
Yeah.
it'd be a cool thing to do. I think, again, Madam Chair alluded to it as well. You see the process and all that stuff. That would be kind of cool if you guys could see how that all worked and all that stuff, but. She'll
yeah.
get
Well,
there.
and I'd like to, go to Northern
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Like we really need to go to all of them. Claiming that that's going to solve their retention problem. I highly doubt that.
If
I don't
you're
think it
able-
would hurt.
Yeah,
But-
if
but-
you're able to do the job better, if you're, you know.
Yeah.
If you.
Well, you'll see the conditions that they're under.
So I can't, yes,
It's not gonna hurt.
You're absolutely right. I can't speak intelligently what their job is, so.
Well, one of the things that we did here today in ag, and for your benefit, Madam Chair, is we're hearing that cows have collars on them with Wi-Fi. And that they're able to monitor the health of them, and that the bill for this one farm with 600 cows or more than that.
No.
2,300 cows. The bill for the monitoring of those cows was like $4,600 a year, and it wouldn't have happened without the Wi-Fi, but that alone, or 4,600 a month. That alone, just being able to see the animal's health quicker, actually was, they thought it was a good value.
Yeah, monitoring the health is a good
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
Efficiencies.
nice.
Sure.
So I can,
Sounds equivalent to 3/4 of a laborer.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's significant.
All right.
I'm sorry, I
Good.
wanted to.
No,
I was
good
glad you did.
conversation, and we need to be alert to.
Great discussion, actually.
Yeah,
Really great discussion.
okay, so how about we adjourn until